I mean, right now, currently, we have, I think, 4 or 5 players that are playing Division I basketball that were not on the quote-unquote top team. But they were put in a position where they could continue to improve and get better. This is probably the question that we get the most, especially for players that aren't familiar with our program. So there's a few factors that we use going into this. One is the fact that we can't have players that are all, so we split these teams into 8 player teams. And a couple things that come in is like the adjoining state rule, which means we can't just go out there and take this 8 kids regardless of where they're from. We have to take into consideration what state they live in, and then from there we can then fill in with players from other areas. And that's one of the adjoining state rule is honestly one of the things that makes our program so strong, is we can take the best players from Idaho, Montana, Washington, Wyoming, wherever, and put them together to form really strong teams. One of the next things that we go into is obviously we're trying to put together, at least for our top, a top team, the best players per position that we can. With that being said, we're strongly considering the positions that players play and the playing time that they will receive. So, for instance, if we think that there's a kid that might be the best player in the whole program for either the guys or the girls, and one of the other top players plays the exact same position, we need to consider if it's better for that second player to play on the same team together and they can coexist, or to put them on a different roster so that they can get more playing time, more shots, etc. With our guys program, which has been around for 20 plus years, I mean, right now currently we have, I think, 4 or 5 players that are playing Division I basketball that were not on the quote-unquote top team. But they were put in a position where they could continue to improve and get better. They were put in a position where they had the offense focused more on them. But having done this for so long, we know that we're putting our players in the best possible position. You've got to trust our system. You've got to trust what we're doing, knowing that we're going to put you in the best place possible. And one step further with that, and then I'll go to the coaching question, which is if we understand that we don't hit a home run every single time. So we know that if in the spring we have teams that maybe aren't quite, the chemistry isn't quite right, we have no problem taking that team and making a few changes to put the pieces where everybody can be more successful and have a better experience. I mean, we are a player-driven program. Our goal is to put each player in the best position to be successful. From there, when it comes to the coaching staff, we've got NAIA coaches, both heads, assistants, high school coaches, etc., that are amazing coaches. But as we get closer to March, April, or closer to the summer, we really try to line those coaches out with the best fit possible. But it's hard 3 months in advance to get the commitment a lot of times, just because they're saying, if you're an NAIA coach and you're an assistant, all of a sudden you get another job in California and you can't do it anymore, so things may change. So it's not that we're stalling. What we're trying to do is make sure that when we have that coach starting to reach out to the player, that we know it's going to be the coach, we know it's going to be the right fit. And we usually do that, we have those dialed in usually early March to mid to late March, and that way everybody knows as soon as they make a team, hey, this is your coach, these are the squads that you're on, and it's all dialed in. Each team will have a maximum of 8 players. We feel like that is the best way to allow everyone to get a ton of playing time, to have a really tight rotation so that kids get to play a lot, but also aren't just getting exhausted. It also allows, as opposed to like 7 or even 6 or whatever, if there is an injury at the event or foul trouble or whatever, it still gives us enough leeway to make sure that we have the roster, that roster filled. But I think one of the biggest things is we want to have a great experience. So obviously if we go to 10, 11, 12 kids, you could potentially bring the cost down, but the experience isn't going to be there. And we found 8 is the ideal number for substitutions and a ton of playing time, especially knowing that throughout any given weekend we could play 5, 6, 7 games. If they have trust in us, if they trust that our 20+ years of experience leads us to saying we know the right place to put you with the right coach, they're all going to have a great experience with no biases, with no issues. And again, it'll be the best coaches will coach, the right coaches will coach the right team.